We're good, Sherry? All right. Good evening. I am Tammy Hager, principal of Garfield Heights High School. I would like to thank you for coming to our College and Career Planning and FAFSA night. Our guidance counselors have some important information to share. I will turn this over to one of our guidance counselors, Ms. Castagnola.
Hi, welcome everybody. This is it's an exciting year, class of 2021. We're trying to get through it as best as we all can. We're all in the same boat and working together. So hopefully you'll get some important information out of this college and career planning night. Next. I just want to make you aware of who is in the guidance department. Miss Bobby Marksberry is in charge of students whose last names are A through G. I'm Miss Castagnola. I work with students whose last names are H through O, and Miss Sherry Williams works with students' last names P through Z. Also, our guidance secretary is very knowledgeable, Miss Michelle Haddon. You can always call her and ask questions too. And there's our phone number. It's the school's main number. Next. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about applying for college and how you get that process started. You can always fill out the application online. So if you Google any college, their application will be, for first year students will come up. You have to pay an admission fee. You may be eligible for a fee waiver. Usually that goes by the federal government income guidelines. You can see your counselor to determine eligibility. But if you normally qualify for free or reduced lunches, that's usually a good sign that your admission fee is free, but contact your guidance counselor. Some colleges right now may be waiving the application fee altogether due to COVID. So you could just check with that individual college. Sign into Naviance to request your transcripts, and that's something Mrs. Marksberry is going to talk about in a few minutes. Some schools may require letters of recommendation from teachers, employers, counselors, or coaches. So make sure your student or students make sure you are requesting those at least 1 to 2 weeks prior to the due date in order to ensure ample time for us to complete a well-constructed letter. We really want to be able to write a nice letter for you, or your teachers are super busy. They're going to need to know a couple weeks in advance. And then it's up to you guys to request the letters. And those can be requested through Naviance with the teachers also. Again, your guidance counselor can walk you through that. Next. So the ACT, SAT. Normally, the students would have taken the ACT at school last year as juniors. Of course, we didn't do that. Also, with COVID, there's all kinds of different rules now. Many colleges are waiving the ACT requirement. So we'll just have to check with that individual college to see their requirements for ACT or SAT. They have really cool virtual campus visits now. You can actually get a live tour from someone and they'll show you all around the campus. Other times it's just on the college's website. There's some really interesting tours where they'll show you dorms, they'll show you cafeteria and the whole campus. So they're doing that very nicely now. You can always call us and ask us for information. We have colleges that tell us, hey, we want to do a virtual tour on such and such a date, and we list those in the senior classroom. Make sure college applications are completed before the deadline. It's the student's responsibility to be aware of college admission and scholarship deadlines. We suggest you submit your college applications by Thanksgiving break, just to make sure. Some schools have deadlines, say of like November 15th. There's a couple schools like that. But for the most part, it's a good indicator, sort of a time mark. If you submit them before Thanksgiving, you can get a big load off your shoulders and get those done. It doesn't mean you can't submit it afterwards, but pay attention to your college deadlines. Also, it was highly recommended to meet with the College Now financial advisor, Valerie Harrell, and you'll be seeing her in a few minutes. Appointment time slots are available, which are located again in the senior Google Classroom. File for the FAFSA, and that's the free application for federal student aid. And you can do that online. It's pretty self-explanatory, but we're also going to have workshops for that. Next. Just briefly, I'll tell you early decision versus early action. And this is something that we guidance counselors can go into detail. Early decision is binding. So if your student has always wanted to go to Ohio State and they know if they get in, that's where they're going, hands down, they're not going to look at anything else, early decision may be a way to go. Early action is finding out if you're accepted, but it's not binding. You don't have to commit until the normal reply date of May 1st. But early decision, you will be accepting. If you get accepted, you will be committing to that college. And the pros in that is just you get everything done early. You have the rest of your senior year to relax. You can research where you want to go, where you're going to be in the dorm and different things around the campus. But the negative is it is binding, and there's hefty fines and there's hefty deposits that you won't get back if you change your mind. And now I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Marksberry, who's going to continue.
Sorry, I had to take myself off of mute. Okay, so every senior was invited to this senior Google Classroom. In that Google Classroom, there's forms already posted for students to fill out their diploma slip and for them to fill out their cap and gown. And I'm going to stop sharing at this point, and I want to show you another link. Wait, let me see. Actually, wait, I lost you. Okay, so in that class of 2021, I want to just show you quickly where you can find that senior Google Classroom. If you do not have access to it as a parent, please email your guidance counselor and we can invite you as the parent of the student. In that Google Classroom, we have the diploma slip and we also have the cap and gown form, and it's the best way for us to reach out to students while we are remote. Also in that Google Classroom, you have access to the College Now advisor. You just simply click on the link and that will provide you with her appointment slots, whether it be a 25-minute appointment slot or a 55-minute FASFA completion slot. We also have a tool that we use in the guidance office a lot, and we have taught our seniors how to use this tool. It's called Naviance. And in Naviance is a way for your student to explore career and college potentials. They can request letters of recommendation and they can request transcripts. And at this time, I have a short video that can explain that process to you.
Naviance is a tool that we have for all of our students for college and career planning. Every student has an account. They simply log into their class link, look for the Naviance icon, and it's a single student sign-in using your Garfield Heights Bulldog email address and password. On Naviance, you can search colleges or you can research careers. The first thing I want to show you is under the What's New tab. Under the What's New tab, you can see if you expand it, these are colleges that have requested virtual visits with our school. All you do is you can see that one is scheduled for November 12th at 11 o'clock. If you click more info, it'll take you to that college visit and students can register for the event. 15 minutes prior to the event, the virtual link will open up and students can simply click on the link and meet with that college representative. These virtual visits update all the time, so colleges can request visits from now until the end of school year. So these would always change and update as colleges request visits with our students. Under the Home tab, we have colleges that we're thinking about. Students can add to this list by clicking the plus sign. They can search by the quick list, and they simply add it by checking the box and favoriting it. Or they can also add colleges to the list by searching by keyword. If they put a keyword in here, they can find the college based on a keyword. And then they can favorite and they can add the college that way. Once they get the college on their colleges that I'm thinking about, they can then click on the link. And it'll tell them a little bit more about the college, the average net price, their acceptance rate, their deadline. It'll give them the option to participate in a virtual tour, communicate with them, or apply online. Once they've started researching their colleges and they have their colleges that they're thinking about, once they decide to apply, it's easy to move it over to the application list. You simply click on the box and click it to move to the application list. At this time, students can request transcripts. They can add the application, or they can add and request transcripts at that time. Once it's on their application list, they have the option of then requesting transcripts at any time, or they can request letters of recommendation. All they simply do is add the request. They can select the teacher from the drop-down box. They can tell which college they want it sent to, and then they can put some information about themselves or maybe a special note to the teacher, and they can submit the request and that would go directly to the teacher. Also under the Home tab, you can start researching careers. Under the careers that I'm thinking about, you can explore them by the career cluster finder. You can take a test that matches your careers to your interests and your activities, or the career cluster profiler. You can also look it up by keyword, or you can look it up by category. Also under the Colleges tab, under Scholarships and Money, I always get questions about scholarships. Under the scholarship list, these are scholarships that come into the guidance office. All you do is look at the criteria, look at the deadlines. You can click on the link. Sometimes the link will take you to a website. Sometimes the link will take you to the application. That you can download and read the criteria for the scholarship. Under the About Me tab, students can take assessments. There's a Strength Explorer, the Career Interest Profiler, and the Career Cluster Finder.
Okay, so that's a little bit about Naviance. If you have any questions about the Google Classroom and about Naviance, please reach out to your guidance counselor. All the students should know how to do it, but we help them along as we need to. Now I'm going to turn it over to Miss Williams, who's going to talk about some college visitations.
Good evening, everyone. So really quickly, just when it comes to college visitations, we know that you guys are really excited in regards to thinking about where you want to go off to school, and there's so many different possibilities of places you can go. We recommend that as seniors, you guys go on some college visits. Under normal circumstances, you'd be able to actually step foot on a college campus. But with COVID and everyone needing to be safe, colleges have now implemented virtual visits where you can sign up, and Ms. Casignola kind of hit on this a couple slides ago, but you can kind of sign up and have like self-guided tours of the campus where you really get a real experience like you're actually on the foot of a campus. So we definitely recommend that you guys don't go ahead and apply to or accept admission to different schools without actually seeing the campus. You want to make sure it's a good fit for you. So we definitely recommend college campus visits. And if that's something you need help with, you can come to us, we can help you, or you can also see on Naviance what visits we have coming up as well. Next slide, please. Okay. So another thing, if you plan on going off to college, another thing you need to do is make sure that you are prepared for ACTs and SATs, and those are college entrance exams. A lot of the schools that are universities and colleges, they require that you take these exams for acceptance. Many of the colleges are waiving the ACT requirement just because of the situation with COVID, but you need to speak to that school to see what their actual plan is in regards to ACTs and SATs. When you go to register for the ACT or SAT, that can be done electronically. So if you're going to a school that requires you to take the SAT exam, you need to go ahead and register at ACT.org. And if you're going to a school that recommends that you take the SAT, you need to go onto collegeboard.org. Most colleges and universities in Ohio, they aren't really too particular about which exam you take, but I always tell students that when you're looking out of state for a school, you want to make sure that you're taking the exam that school requests. And if you have any questions about that, absolutely message your guidance counselor and we can help you find out which schools accept which test scores. If you are a student that receives free or reduced lunch, please talk to your guidance counselor because you may be eligible for a ACT or SAT fee waiver, where it waives the cost of the exam. Okay, so for those of you that aren't necessarily sure that they want to go off to college, but maybe you're thinking the military would be a better interest for you, we have several recruiters that come around and speak to kids all the time. You would just need to let your guidance counselor know which branch of the military you're interested in, and then we can put you in contact with the recruiter of your choosing. We often have the Marines, the Navy, the Army, the Air Force. So whatever you're interested in, or if you just want to talk to the different branches, absolutely let us know and we can put you in contact with the person to help you. Next slide. Scholarships. So let's talk about scholarships. Scholarships are really, really important. And what I tell students this is an opportunity to earn some free money. So this is money that you don't have to pay back, which is a good thing because we know that college can be a little pricey. And you can take this money and you can spend it on the actual tuition or books or whatever you need for your college experience. Here at the high school, we have as we receive scholarship information, we post it on Naviance. So you can find a slew of different things on Naviance, from different scholarships, different college visits. Please, please, please take advantage of the Naviance service that we have. There's also other scholarships that we have here in guidance. We have local scholarships. So those are available to just Garfield Heights seniors, and those will become available as of February 1st. And what you do is you pick as many scholarships as apply to you. You fill out whatever the requirement is. Some may require you to complete an essay or complete a questionnaire. Just make sure you have those turned back into the guidance office on February 19th, no later than 2:30, just to see if you have an opportunity to earn some free money. In addition to our local scholarships that we have, there's also a search engine, fastweb.com. And basically you go in, you complete a profile, and every time that there's a scholarship that matches your profile, you'll be notified. and you can go ahead and complete that information and see if you can earn some free money for college.
There was one question that said, where can I find the link for Naviance?
Where can you find the link for guide? So if you go to the Garfield Heights City School webpage under the high school tab, can we pull it up at all? Let's see if we can pull it up so we can kind of walk you through.
Well, it is on the student's class link.
Uh-huh.
So let me see.
So we're going to the high school page. We're going to the tab, that quick link tab right there.
Well,
No, student tab. Yes.
It's on their class link.
On their class link. Where's class link?
It was on quick.
It's also under quick links down. If you
Okay.
scroll down a little bit,
It must be down.
It's
right over there.
There it is.
Naviance student.
So, yeah, there's class links login right there, and then there's the Naviance.
Naviance for students. That's the one I was looking for. So you just click on that link, use your personal login information that's unique to yourself, and your account will pop up. And if you need further assistance with that, definitely just reach out to your guidance counselor and we can walk you through that. Okay, so we're on to the next slide. Okay, so really quickly, just some important websites for you guys to keep in mind. We have posted here the ACT website. So if you need to re-register and take the ACT again for a higher score, you're just going to go to www.actstudent.org. For the SAT registration, you're going to go to www.collegeboard.org. There's a link here for FastWeb, and that's the link for the scholarship search. And College Now's information there is there also. And then last but not least, the application for FASFA. Next slide. Okay. Any questions? All right. Well, at this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Mrs. Valerie Harrell from College Now.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending tonight. Let me go ahead and share my screen now. And hopefully you can see this here from the very beginning. All right, I get nods, so that works. All right, so I'm Valerie Harrell. I'm the college advisor at Garfield Heights High School again this year. My role would be to meet with you face-to-face in person to make sure that you, as a senior, as a parent, know exactly what you need to do as you prepare to plan for what life is going to look like after you graduate next spring. We all know that these are difficult times, and you know, we're all trying to get through it together. I know as a college advisor, I have had to have some tough conversations with families, with students about how to really just kind of keep your head in the game, because that's really what's most important at this point, is making sure that you finish this school year, making sure you finish it strong, put forth the best effort that you can, show up to class on time, and hopefully once you do that, you have made a plan, and once you get out of here, you have something, you know, the next part of your life will begin to happen. So tonight I'm going to talk about financial aid, understanding the basics. Here's my contact information. I believe it's on the last slide as well, but feel free to jot down my email address. It's bharrell@collegenowgc.org. My cell is 216-870-8609. I do reply back even on the weekends. Don't overdo it, but I do reply back on the weekends. If students text me, I do reply back. So if you feel like you need some one-on-one information, contact with me, certainly feel free to use that senior Google page to set up a one-on-one. We can meet for a half an hour or an hour, just to give you everything that you're going to need to get through this process. So let's talk about the financial aid process, what it is, the different types of aid, why you need to fill out the FAFSA, and then I'll briefly touch on the CSS profile. So what is financial aid? It's basically all of the money that we've been talking about in the previous, 15 or 20 minutes. It is all the money that goes into paying for your higher education. And what Ms. Williams was just saying, some of it is free. That is the good stuff. That's what you want to be looking for. Some is not free, which is the student loans. Those are things that you have to repay. It sounds like it's good when you're getting it, but when you have to start repaying it, it becomes a whole nother thing. So we want to find all the free money first. Oh yeah, we have those transitions here. So what is associated with the cost of going to college? So these are basically all of the different things that you would need to pay for. So tuition and fees, room and board. So if you're living on campus, you have to not only have your room, but also a meal plan. You will be paying for your own books and supplies, any sort of personal expenses that you're going to need, such as if you're living on campus, you have to buy everything from the twin extra long sheets to bringing your own towels and your own Tide. All of that stuff you're going to need to pay for. And then of course, transportation is an expense that you also may have to come up with, especially depending on how far away you are from home. If you go to Cleveland State and you want to come home for Thanksgiving break or winter break, it's probably not a big deal at all. But if you are in Texas and you want to come home for Thanksgiving break, it's probably a whole set of things that you need to make sure that are in place before you're going to be able to do that. All of those 5 things add up to the cost of attendance. The most important 2 are the tuition and fees, and then the room and board if you're planning to live on campus, because those are what we call direct costs. They have to be paid directly to the university. So when you've gone on a website, you have either seen the direct cost or you've seen the cost of attendance, and the direct cost are what we really need to be mindful of. So the different pots to pay for those direct costs are going to fall under these 3 categories. So there's gift money, which is the free stuff, the good stuff. There's earned money, which can come to you in the form of a federal work study program, which is basically getting a part-time job on campus. And then there's borrowed money. So there's loans that you can specifically access for educational purposes, higher education. So grants specifically are going to be more for need-based. You can access them by completing the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid. There are other agencies that offer grants, such as if you are a resident of the state of Ohio and you attend school in the state of Ohio, whether you go to a public or a private school, you could also be eligible for what's called the Ohio College Opportunity Grant. So there are different things that you access just by opening and completing the FAFSA. So that is the most important financial document for accessing money, free and the loans, and the work study. So all of that comes by way of completing the FAFSA. As far as scholarships go, they can vary. So they can be based on a need, they can be based on your merit. So your ACT, GPA, it could be based on being an athlete, it could be based on being, a talented dancer. So there are different things that are given to you based off of your merit. And then there are also circumstance-based scholarships. So if you're a first generation, maybe your parents didn't graduate from college, or if you are, your parent is a retired military, or, a situation where, let's say you are in the custody of someone else, so you're not under legal guardianship of your own parents. So there could be scholarships for different circumstances. So we want to access as much of that as possible. And as we think about scholarship and searching for scholarships, Naviance, of course, is going to be the very first place that you're going to look. This is where your guidance counselors are going to be uploading the information as they receive it in there. I know that you all have the local scholarships that are going to be available February 1st. College Now also has specific scholarships that you can apply for, and they will be available around the same time. I've been in Miss Randall's class already through her period. So if you have Miss Randall, you've probably already seen my face, heard my spiel a little bit about, why it's so important to apply for scholarships. But I will also be coming back into the classroom to have a whole nother conversation just about scholarships, probably when I coordinate that with Miss Randall. It'll probably be like the last week in January or the very first week in February, I think is what we were shooting for. But as you access scholarships, you want to first think specific, you want to think obvious, you want to think local. So of course your high school anywhere you and your parents may be, have any sort of relationship. So their job, your job, any organizations, any place that you bank, things that you are interested in doing or have done around the community. Check with those organizations because it is likely that they do have a scholarship that could be available for you to apply to. Think about the obvious places to look, like your high school. That is one of the most obvious places. So through Naviance, again, that's where a lot of your scholarships are going to be listed. I'm sorry, my dog decided he wants to, we are all at home and he might want to make a cameo because he's standing right here behind me now. So we'll see how that works out. I'll introduce him if he wants to be on camera. Okay, so then there's the earned money. That's federal work study. Again, you access that through completing the FAFSA. There's a question on there that says, do you want to be considered for work study? You want to say yes, even if you are not sure, if you don't know at this point. It's easier to say yes now and turn it down later than to say no and then trying to access it later next year once you get on a college campus. But basically, it's part-time work where you earn the money in the form of a paycheck. So you would, it does not go towards your tuition, but it is money that you can earn to help cover some of those other, oh, there he goes. So that is Tyson. I'm not exactly sure what he's doing right now, but it's the back of the couch. So that's where I'm not exactly sure what's happening here. Sorry about that. So hopefully he doesn't take my thunder and start presenting for me. That would really be bad. But basically, federal work study is an opportunity for you to earn the money in the form of a paycheck. Students typically are going to work somewhere between about 8 and maybe 12 to 15 hours a week. So it's not a lot of time, but it is an opportunity for you to get in a few hours in between classes, in between studies, and you can work anywhere that you would like on campus. You can apply for jobs in the cafeteria, in the rec center, in the library, working with a biology department or a psychology department, something like that. So you actually go on campus, get the job, and then earn the money in the form of a paycheck. It's a lot more flexible than going to, off campus, having to ride the bus or take your car off campus, that commute time of getting to the mall or down the street to, a fast food restaurant or something along those lines. Work study jobs are just ideal for students because your situation will be taken into account. They know when your midterms are, they know when your finals are. So it just is a little bit easier for you to navigate. And it doesn't count against you. The money that you earn doesn't count against you the following year when you're completing your FAFSA. And then, of course, there is the dreaded borrowed money. This is the last thing that you want to consider. Apply for as many scholarships as possible so that the funds that you have to take out in loans is minimal. That should be the plan. The current interest rates are 2.75% for the student portion. If you complete your FAFSA for next year, for the 21-22 school year, as an incoming freshman, you will only be able to take out $5,500 in federal loans in your own name. That could be a portion of it could be subsidized and a portion unsubsidized. That just means that the government pays the interest on the subsidized portion and they don't pay it on the unsubsidized portion. So basically taking out that part of the loan, 4 years from now, the interest will already have accumulated on a portion and it will be higher than that, $2,000. It's going to be $2,000 plus the interest that has accumulated over that time period. There are federal Parent Plus loans. If your parent is willing or able to take out a loan in their name, that would be nice of them to do. The interest rates are 5.3% currently. They are set every year by the federal government and they are set by July 1st of each year. There are also other places that you can look for loans, the private and alternative route. So going to your bank or an organization like Sallie Mae. Most students are going to need a cosigner to borrow anything above that $5,500 just because as an 18-year-old, a 19-year-old, you haven't established any credit. And if you are able to take out any loans in your own name without a cosigner, the interest rates are going to be pretty high, like somewhere between maybe 12 and 18%. So I would consider finding a cosigner if possible, if your parent is unable to or unwilling to take out a Parent Plus loan on your behalf. if you still need it outside of those scholarships that you're going to be looking for. So again, the subsidized and unsubsidized, these are all loans, all three, including the Parent Plus, are all offered through the Department of Education. The student is the borrower on those federal subsidized and unsubsidized loans where they do not need the cosigner. So how do you apply for these things? So there are about 400 schools that require what's called the CSS profile. So I'll just go through this really quickly. These are going to be more selective schools that typically start price point are $50,000, $60,000. So all of the Ivy Leagues, all of those schools that are considered a reach for many students are going to require the CSS profile. It's going to require 3 years of financial information from your parents. Even if your biological parent does not live with you, they oftentimes also want the non-custodial parents' financial information in addition to the custodial parents' information. So you will need to keep that in mind. You can access and take a look at what schools are on that list. So in Ohio, for example, Case Western is on there, Oberlin is on there. There are a couple of other schools in Ohio that do require the CSS profile. If you feel like you need some assistance with this, I would definitely encourage you to make a one-on-one appointment with me and we can kind of go through. But it is on collegeboard.org. So the same folks that administer the AP exams also do the SAT, and they also do the CSS profile. There is a fee for the profile to be completed. It is $25 for the application in the first school, and then $16 for each additional school that you add. However, if you qualify for a fee waiver, previous example of the ACT or SAT, if you qualify for one of those waivers, you would also qualify for a waiver for the application fee for the CSS profile. If you go to collegeboard.org, though, you can see all of the schools that are listed that require the profile. Now, everyone should be completing the FAFSA at this point in time. It did open on October 1st. It is the free application for federal student aid, and it is how you basically the gateway to all of the money that we have been talking about that could come through the federal government or the state, any sort of institutional aid from a specific college or university, as well as accessing those federal student loans. So you need to fill this out. It opened October 1st. The website is fafsa.ed.gov, or you can link to it also through studentaid.gov. It does get you to the same place. The first thing that you are going to want to do, and I know if you are in Ms. Randall's class, you've probably already done this, is to have an FSA ID. That is basically your electronic signature. You have to basically set up this account, creating a username and a password. Your primary parent also will need to set up a username and a password by creating their own FSA ID. One thing that I would encourage you to do is not use your high school email to set up your FSA ID. You will not have access to your login information after you graduate. So sometime over the summer, they're going to kind of purge your email account. So you want to make sure that you're using your Yahoo or Google or, iCloud or Gmail or, whatever you're using outside of that to set up your FSA ID. So here is what you're going to need to complete it. Not only the FSA ID, the username and the password, but also the balances that you have in your checking and savings account as of the day that you fill it out. Any balances of any investment accounts, not including retirement, but any sort of stocks or bonds or mutual funds that are considered taxable. Any rental property or second home, you do have to account for the value of that. Any 529 college accounts that you may have set up, college funding accounts that you may have set up, you have to account for that on the FAFSA as well. Any sort of untaxed income, like if you have some sort of disability or other untaxed income that you may be receiving, you need to know those amounts, as well as any child support that was paid or received outside of the household for all the children, not just for the senior who may be going to school, for the 2019 year. So how much did the parent actually receive that particular year? And the 2019 tax returns. So you need your 2019 tax forms for not only the student, but also for the parent, including the W-2. It would be very helpful to have all of that before you are ready to complete your FAFSA. So again, it opened on October 1st. Be sure that you are definitely checking to make sure what the school's deadline is, because everyone does have a different deadline. My recommendation is to get it done by Thanksgiving or by the end of this month, the same as completing all of your college applications. So you have another couple of weeks to get all these things finished. I have several opportunities for you to meet with me if you need any assistance to get this pushed through. Yes, October 1st. All right, so that's the end of what I wanted to go through this evening, just to give you a little bit of additional information. I actually have a colleague online with me as well, Marquita Rogers. She is our, she's here at Garfield Heights, well, here virtually, I guess, at Garfield Heights this year as well. And she is the impact advisor, and she's going to have an ACT boot camp that's going to start. So if any student is planning, by the way, the College Now scholarships, we have not waived the requirement for the ACT or SAT. So if you are planning to apply to one of the College Now scholarships, you still have an opportunity to take one more test. You know, December, if you've signed up for that one, or maybe even January or February would be an SAT or an ACT. We are going to have a boot camp that is going to be virtual this year. It begins, I believe, Marquita, you may have to refresh it. It's January 11th through March 12th. So it's every day, it's Monday through Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. And not only is this for the seniors, and we will get a flyer out to you, and I'll send it to the guidance counselor so that they can send out to the entire class, and, you know, the 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade, so that you all have the opportunity to set up to register to get some additional assistance with the ACT boot camp that is just going to be for Garfield students. So with that said, I'm going to see if Ms. Sherry Bailey has any questions at all. And if not, I'm going to turn it back over to Ms. Hager so she can get us all straightened out here. So thank you all for your time and have a very good evening.
Whoops, I gotta unmute myself. We want to thank everyone for attending tonight. I hope you got some useful information. And as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to the high school. Thank you, everyone, and have a great night.